Good morning, everyone. It is November 19th, 2024. I wanted to share with you all something that I thought, let me just talk about this real quick. So I'm not sure. So in Rwanda, let me just take a step back. In Rwanda, there's an event called the Hanga Pitch Fest or the Hanga Pitch or something like that. So I'm not sure if it's done every year or every other year. I'll share their info here, but it's basically an event where um, founders or where startups are able to pitch for funding to a panel. And it might be a little more complicated than that because to be able to pitch in front of the panel, you have to go through rounds, I guess. So I'll share the info so you can see. So, they had the last one was recently, it was maybe last week or the week before. There were five finalists. I'm not going to share all of their information. This is the video on YouTube. So you all can just go ahead and check it out. It's 2 hours. I just want to share the pitch from this man here. Let's see. Do we have his name? I hope so, because I'm not going to look for it. So this man is from Ethiopia. Okay, there we go. So the name of his company is Clenville Limited. And well, let me just play it so you can see. So he and I grew up in the same city. I wonder how old he is. I'm going to look for him on on LinkedIn. So yeah, we grew up in the same city. So he's sharing some so his personal story. And so this all has to do with trash. People were affected, people died because of subpar social services. So in Africa, um, governments do not have the social services deliverables that we have living in the Western Hemisphere, which is it's a complicated rabbit hole we can get into for another day. But there was a problem. It affected him, and he found out that this problem was not just in one place. So he kept on finding out that the problem that he experienced, not directly, but the problem that him and his community experienced, is very frequent in Africa. And the reason is, it's not actually not social services, but because that would be different. Actually, well, not social services, but services that are provided either by the government or by vendors. So, for example, where I live, we have the waste management trucks that come up, pick up the trash, they take it to landfill. It gets taken care of in a professional manner. We pay for those services because we can, because we have to, because we live here. In Africa, that's not the same thing. So he's saying a couple of things here, but essentially here, what he's saying is there's a problem on from the side where he's at in Africa, and then he introduced the problem as a whole, um, for the world, which was there are companies that want to offset their plastic footprint. There are the recycling in Africa is lackluster at best. And so, is there a market? The needs are there on both sides. We have to recycle more worldwide. There's a recycling problem in Africa. And then also, companies worldwide, they want to offset the plastic footprint that they have. So, I'm already, I like what he's saying, but then there's a little something that sneaked in there that I don't quite like. Um, so he's starting to talk about impact. And let's go back to what I have said many, many times. Once you start measuring the potential of a startup and you use the word impact as a metric, you're already on the losing end. So that means it kind of changes, it does change your startup from a for-profit enterprise to really a social enterprise. And a social enterprise does not belong in capital markets, in the free market. The free market is, do you have a product? Do you have customers? Demand and supply. So once you put on a layer of social impact, it goes from demand and supply, remove the customer. So um, it's more of it goes into a governance issue. And it's a word that is it's used it's actually it's the norm that people use it in Africa, especially startups. But that's where you already start, and they might not realize it. But anything that has to do with impact is a social services, a governance deliverable, not a deliverable for capital markets. Unless, and this is where I believe that he might be on the winning side of something here, but I'm going to let him finish and then give you my 2 cents. Okay, so I just want to stop him again, but so what he is doing, what his company is doing is they're being the middleman. Um, the ability of the middleman. So it's not that they recycle, they collect the trash, the plastic bags, and they sell it to recycling companies. These recycling companies are supposed to be in, I think they're in Africa. I don't know if he mentions it, although I don't see how, even if you collect the plastics, I don't see you shipping it to wherever so that it can be processed there. So the recycling companies are based in Africa. So that's what his company does. Okay, so here we go. Here's the pitch. So, middleman collects, and not him specifically, obviously, but this is the middleman model, right? Recycling companies on one side in Africa, trash on the other. What his company provides is they transport or they collect the plastics and then they route it to the recycling company. And so the valuation here is the credits, the recycling credits. Is there a market for recycling credits? Sure. And I actually let me see. How does he call it exactly? So their initial investors, the initial investment was 10,000 USD from Jaziri. So I don't know who Jaziri, they don't look familiar to me. Look them up and let me know. Okay, so they call it plastic crediting. That's the product. Okay, so here we go. Here we go. Which it's good. I love it. So now we're getting into the meat of this whole thing. There is an asset. The asset is called plastic crediting. Are there, what's the valuation of that? It depends on who wants to buy. So the problem that he's having, and so I'm just going to let you know that his company, Clenville, did not, was not able to raise 150K. Um, but what he's offering actually makes sense. I just think that, and what one of the panel, her question was right on point. So she said, okay, the valuation is mostly based on, or the valuation is mostly dependent on, so the valuation of your company, which also is tied into how much you want to fundraise, which is tied into how much equity you're willing to forego to raise that 150K. This is all dependent on the value of the plastic crediting. How do you know how much it's worth? And his response is, well, we are assessing how much it's worth. Is it wrong? No. Is it right? I want to say yes. Why? There is a problem. Everybody's aware of it, and the problem is pollution. We also know that there are companies that want to offset their footprint by going green or, yada, yada, yada. So the other problem here is this startup is based in Africa. Or you can look at it as a problem or as an asset. I see it both ways because, so for example, let's say I have a t-shirt that Tom Brady wore once upon a time. Okay? Or so is that t-shirt worth something? Yes, because Tom Brady is a football player. He's famous. Everybody knows that who he is. Now, and I don't want to equate Tom Brady to plastic. Okay, you know what? Never mind the Tom Brady example. We'll go with something else. The point is, uh, what I'm trying to get to is his initial investors. So the valuation is based, so he says that he wants, they're selling their plastic credits in Africa. They want the market to be in Africa. It's not going to be in Africa because we have better things to do than buy plastic credits. Okay, because I'm putting myself in the body of an African person. Okay. I'm going through my daily life, my daily struggle, or whatever you want to call it. And then I'm on my mobile phone. If I have data, I see some advertisements, maybe on the phone, maybe, somewhere I hear about it. Oh, you can buy plastic credits to offset your footprint. It doesn't matter to me. However, it will matter to people living in Silicon Valley, for example, for sure. Why? Because so what he's offering is kind of it's feel good product. It's a lifestyle product. So and to just prove my point here is look at his initial investors. I think I saw a picture somewhere. That's the pen one, the lady with the great question. And you guys can watch this video on your own time. Come on, let's see. What did his initial investors? There we go. So he wants to make Africa the hub of plastic crediting market. Is that possible? Absolutely. Now, let's take a look. I don't know if this is big enough, but so his initial investors, okay, they look like this. But you're pitching to a panel. Okay, oh, who's that? I don't know who that is, but we'll find out and let me know. But I think you all saw the most of the room. Okay, here's the panel. So you're pitching to the wrong people, okay? And now that we know that, all you need to do is find the right audience for your pitch, which is not in Africa. You need to connect with startups, small companies, small business owners located in the Western Hemisphere. That's all it is. And they will buy these plastic credits. Is that what you call it? I don't know. They'll buy the plastic credits because they can. And because also they want to. Who doesn't want to say that they offset their footprint by, they bought credits to offset their footprint. It's a feel-good product. People buy, is it Tesla's, whatever, hybrid cars, electric cars. I think California even, I believe they have mandated that everyone has to drive an electric car. Why? The carbon footprint. So you have a product, people will buy it for sure. So all you need to do is pitch to the right people. So for a good place to start, well, actually, let's connect about this. I'm going to look for him on LinkedIn and see how we can pitch what he's offering to the market here. So you're just preaching to the wrong people. Not a problem. It's part of the fundraising process. You get better and better at identifying who you should be pitching to so that your success rate is higher. So that's what I wanted to share. Um, Find this video if you're a potential investor, VCs looking to offset your carbon footprint. Check this video out. I'm sure they have more information. There's probably a website that you can look at, so go ahead and check it out. There is a market for this. So that's one thing that I wanted to share. Yeah, and I think that's it for the day. So again, this is about Clenville, okay? And Clenville is a startup that pitched recently. The product is uh, plastic credits. And from my understanding, my interpretation is that so when you buy this plastic credit, you have offset your carbon footprint. There is a market for it. Um, I think they put a valuation of $10 million. So 10 million for 150, or is it? So they wanted to raise 150K to fundraise, and they have valued $10 million. I haven't seen, you know what? I'm going to contact this person, take a look at their pro formas and see if I can help them. All right, everyone. Today is my Monday, November 19th, 2024. 7:13 in the morning, coming to you from New England. My name is Clara Sangiumba. Have a great rest of the week.